The armed forces of Ukraine are tearing apart Moscow and St. Petersburg. Drones are flying into the Whitestone City and Putin's hometown practically every day. Among the latest is the strike on the port in Ust-Luga, among others. Well, for Moscow, all the most interesting things are just beginning, because soon Ukrainian ballistics will also be flying at the capital of the Russian Federation. Here are the details.
Moscow, St. Petersburg, and one of the largest Russian ports. This night, Russian air defense was again catching Ukrainian drones, although it didn't catch everything. And the geography here is truly impressive. Drones regularly appear over the Russian capital, reach the Leningrad region, and increasingly strike targets deep inside Russia.
The Russian side claims to have shot down more than 500 drones overnight. This indicates a sharp increase in the capabilities of Ukraine's defense forces in terms of launching strikes on the territory of the Russian Federation.
Moreover, even things that affect the economy and logistics of the Russian Federation are suffering. A striking example is the Ust-Luga port, one of the key Russian ports on the Baltic Sea.
The primary shipment flows for both petroleum products and, quite significantly, liquefied natural gas destined for end consumers across the region pass directly through the Ust-Luga terminal. It is certainly no coincidence that the Russian authorities were eventually forced to publicly admit that the recent Ukrainian strike was highly effective. And at this very moment, extensive and appropriate emergency measures are being actively carried out by the teams on the ground to contain the situation and prevent the further spread of the fire.
Russian logistics are also taking a hit. Tonight, a wild berries facility in the Tver region was damaged, and this is already the third incident in 2 weeks. The Russians are in tears.
Such black smoke is rising in a pillar. They couldn't hold up. Our wild berries is on fire. There's such smoke in that direction.
But the main thing is something else. The fact that the Russian deep rear is gradually ceasing to be synonymous with safety.
It should be noted that there are up to 100 Russian military-industrial complex enterprises located in Moscow. Moreover, these are the most science-intensive enterprises, and they are legitimate military targets for the Ukrainian side. Therefore, it is no coincidence that the intensity of strikes on Moscow and the Moscow region will increase exponentially.
Meanwhile, in the occupied territories, Ukraine has taken aim at Russian energy infrastructure. According to the commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces, Robert Brovdy, just in the last few days, another 29 energy hubs have been hit in Crimea, as well as in the Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhzhia regions. And in total, since the beginning of July, 240 energy hubs have already been hit. The consequences of the attacks do not end where the fire begins. A fuel crisis has once again gripped Russia, and more specifically Moscow and the surrounding region. And even imports from other countries haven't really helped much.
Moscow, Butyrskaya Street, Savalovsky Station, please. There's a line, the gas station is closed. I don't know, a fuel tanker is unloading there. There are a bunch of gas stations where people are just abandoning their cars out of desperation. Cars are leaving empty, heading home. Well, there's no gas, it's nowhere in the city.
And here are the results of the strikes on the ports. In Novorossiysk, after the attack, the two largest grain terminals suspended operations, and now Russian market participants are complaining. Grain is not being shipped and cargo is sitting idle.
The situation with the grain market is not improving, although some farmers still continue to believe that the price is about to go up, despite the fact that there are absolutely no real prerequisites for this.
The strikes on Novorossiysk are effectively pausing the Russian Federation's ability to sell its agricultural products to end consumers.
And an interesting picture emerges. Ukraine is not just trying to reach individual Russian cities. Everything that helps Russia wage war is coming under attack. Ports, energy, logistics, military facilities, and the air defense system itself. And the more such objects that have to be defended, the more stretched the Russian defense becomes across the country's territory.
The bulk of the anti-missile and air defense systems are concentrated in Moscow and the Moscow region. Moreover, the Russians admit the fact that their air defense system is patchy in nature. That is, they do not have the capability to cover the entire territory of the Russian Federation or to cover all strategic facilities.
And while Moscow continues to count down drones, Ukrainian strikes are penetrating deeper and deeper into the Russian rear. And most importantly, there are fewer and fewer safe kilometers left for Russia.
From St. Petersburg and Moscow, we move on to the temporarily occupied territories. Operation Crimean Switch Off is in full swing. The thing is, the commander of the unmanned systems forces of the armed forces of Ukraine, Robert Madyar Brovdi, is reporting another rich catch by his birds. Crimea is rapidly becoming uninhabitable for the occupiers. All the details are in our report.
Ukrainian birds are switching off the Crimean power supply. According to the calculations of the commander of the unmanned systems forces, Madyar, in 2 weeks of August, drones hit 200 energy facilities on the peninsula. Among them are the Balaklava TPP, dozens of electrical substations and transformers.
Occupational Noir, plus 29 energy hubs in the south of the temporarily occupied territories were visited by the unmanned systems forces birds as part of the Crimean switch-off operation. During the operation from July 1st to August 13th, 240 energy hubs were effectively targeted.
Slowly but surely, life on the peninsula is plunging into the Middle Ages. One of the main strongholds of the Putin regime is living without electricity, water, and fuel.
They need to systematically and constantly control the power supply system, and it is lacking in some regions as well. Well, for example, if we take northern Crimea, that's Jankoy, Krasnoperekopsk, Armyansk, and Razdolnoye, then in those regions there was no electricity in some settlements for even 13 to 14 days. And if they did provide it, it was only for a couple of hours, and then it was gone again.
Due to the total blackouts, locals are complaining about both the Crimean authorities and the inhabitants of the Kremlin. They are all collectively inactive and watching the humanitarian catastrophe unfold.
Hello, everyone. I am a resident of the city of Yalta in the Republic of Crimea. I was also born in this city. We have been without electricity for 8 days now. Naturally, all our food has thawed and spoiled. And I want to appeal to you for help now, because our authorities, naturally the mayors and the head of the Republic, are not reacting to this in any way.
The situation with logistics is no better. While the bunker dweller listens to the reassuring reports from Gauleiter Balitsky about full control over the land corridor to Crimea, Ukrainian drones continue to hunt for Russian trucks and fuel tankers.
All energy facilities have been brought under control. The R280 road, which supplies Crimea, is under full control today. And I can say, to the credit of the military first and foremost, that the effectiveness of Ukrainian drones has dropped significantly.
Russian long-haul truckers, for whom every trip along the land corridor to Crimea is a mix of Russian roulette and Mad Max, would not agree with Balitsky's lies.
There's no meeting yet. Come on, be sharper. There are 3 units burning here.
It's fine.
There's a trip. Come on. I can't see a damn thing. Nothing at all.
Crimea is gradually turning into a territory unsuitable for normal life. The noose is tightening, and the armed forces of Ukraine are urging local civilians to leave the peninsula as soon as possible.
For now, we aren't touching the Crimean bridge in case you haven't noticed. Let them leave, let all those millions run across it non-stop into their Russia and head somewhere far beyond the Urals so that, they can live there in peace.
Well then, now it's time to analyze the operational situation on the long-suffering Pokrovsk direction of the front. The fiercest fighting continues. The enemy launched 34 attacks in the Pokrovsk direction. The occupiers attempted to advance in the areas of the settlements of Vasilivka, Udakhne, Kotlaine, Novopodhorodne, and towards the settlements of Beretske, Novyi Donbas, Shevchenko, Novohrishine, Serhivka, and Novopavlivka. Meanwhile, it has been revealed that Putin's Russia has actively deployed a vast clandestine network of secret bases specifically designed for long-range drones, which are fully capable of reaching deep into NATO territory. Investigative journalists have now successfully identified at least 10 such major facilities, along with 59 additional newly constructed launch sites across the region. Which countries exactly could be in the crosshairs of the Kremlin terrorists? We will tell you now.
Putin is terrorizing Europe. Honestly, I really don't see anything unusual going on here.
The Russian dictator is testing the strength of the North Atlantic Alliance countries by staging more and more provocations.
The Kremlin is currently itching to see if NATO's Article 5 commitment will actually hold up, if they decide to carry out a calculated act of aggression against one of the member NATO countries. They are essentially testing the alliance's resolve.
So, as it has become known, Russia has deployed an entire network of secret bases for long-range drones capable of reaching NATO countries. As Western media report, they have identified at least 10 facilities with new launch positions for the most modern Russian long-range kamikaze drones, the kind that can, if desired, reach Warsaw, Riga, or Vilnius.
This is a very bad signal, which means that the Poles, as well as the residents of the Baltic states and Scandinavia, are at risk of ending up in an armed conflict with Russia.
Representatives of European and American intelligence agencies believe that Moscow is quite seriously considering the possibility of an armed provocation on Polish territory, missile or drone attacks on critical infrastructure, or conducting false flag operations. Moreover, Putin has been testing the waters for a long time, repeatedly sending his drones into NATO territory and checking the alliance's reaction.
The recent Russian drone incursion has clearly demonstrated a concerning reality, that a large European nation, a NATO member with a fairly substantial army and very high defense spending, a country that has been situated right next to an active combat zone for 3, perhaps 3.5 years now. Even this nation is still not fully prepared to effectively detect and repel these types of drone attacks. It really highlights a significant gap in their current defensive capabilities. And drones are the foundation of modern warfare.
But why would Putin open a second front if his army is choking on the first one? That is precisely why it is necessary, analysts explain. By attacking one of the NATO countries, the bunker dweller hopes to turn the tide of events on the Ukrainian front.
If some chaos is introduced into the European Union or the North Atlantic Alliance right now, it means that arms supplies to Ukraine will cease. That is, on one hand, the North Atlantic Alliance is being destroyed, the European Union is being destroyed, in which case, and at the same time, this brings Putin closer to occupying the entire territory of Ukraine. Therefore, in fact, both Transnistria with Moldova and the Baltic states are precisely those key directions that could bring about such destabilization.
And furthermore, by attacking one of the North Atlantic Alliance countries, Pina will push other countries, which have been itching for years to unleash some kind of international conflict, toward a more aggressive policy.
Putin will be interested in dragging Europe into this war because it will open the way for countries of the global south, which consider themselves allies of the Russian Federation, to act more actively, to act in fact on the side of the Russian Federation.
But it seems that's not going to happen. China, the Kremlin's main ally in Pina's opinion, is categorically against a new escalation. The Celestial Empire wants to trade with Europe, not fight.
Moscow is increasingly wary of the potential reaction from China, a nation that has firmly placed the critical issue of preventing the expansion of the conflict into other territories and regions, primarily across the European continent, at the very forefront of its diplomatic policy regarding the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian war. This stance remains a central pillar of their geopolitical strategy. After all, for China, Europe is a premium market.
Nevertheless, the bunker dweller is building more and more new bases on the border, so one should not rule out the scenario of a possible attack on the North Atlantic Alliance. After all, back in the day, in February of 2022, Pina was also dissuaded from invading Ukraine, but the old man didn't listen to anyone.